Precisely. Two best buds. Precisely. Drinking beer and talking about stuff. Precisely. Bo and Tony. Precisely. Playing and reviewing games. Precisely.
How's it going, everyone? This is Precisely Podcast, episode 22.
We made it to 22, and we have a guest with us here today.
We do. And this guest is Sam Krebs.
Hello, everyone.
How are you, Sam?
Oh, I'm doing real good because it's the weekend and it's just time to sit around and hang out and chat a little bit.
And drink beer.
And drink good beer.
Because this podcast is about drinking beer, hanging out with some friends, and talking about video game stuff.
That's all the best things.
Yeah. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing good, man. Been a busy week. Weather's been all right. So
yeah.
I'm really enjoying summer, man. Getting out as much as I can.
You're biking a lot, I've
Biking
heard.
all the time.
We biked the other day. It was so much fun. And then it started downpouring rain on us, and we had to stop biking, obviously, and we were on City Island and under the horse barn, smelling like horse poop the whole time, talking to the owner of the horses there, and he just let us hang out for 15, 20 minutes. And once it stopped raining, we biked back home.
Oh, you should have gone over to Susquehanna Outfitters over on the other side of City Island. Dude's name's Steve over there. He's a real cool guy. So I used to go over there, and he plays the saxophone. And I used to go over there with a bass, and my one buddy played drums. We'd go over there and jam with him on City Island every now and again. He'd have this little pavilion over by the beach area. Real cool guy. But next time you're out in a rainstorm,
I actually think
not sponsored by Susquehanna Outfitters.
Yeah, no, I think I was at his house before because my buddy used to work for him, or still does. He does kayak tours.
Yeah.
And he had to go pick up a canoe from Steve's house, and we went there, and I met him, and yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice dude. Really cool dude. I'm actually getting no volume through my headphones.
All right.
Sorry.
You are. It's just low.
There's no snare in my headphones.
I was just going to keep all that in. Tony spilled a beer today when we were setting up. Yeah. Right over his laptop, whatever that machine is.
No,
was it the mixer?
It barely even touched my laptop.
It went all over the table, though.
Everywhere.
It didn't even touch the audio processor.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Is that what it is, Sam?
That is, it's kind of like a digital to analog converter, a DAC, if you will. It's a
DAC.
It's a USB audio interface.
There you go.
And
audio interface.
That's about as technical as I can be on that subject.
Yeah. All I know is I tried listening to episode 1 the other day at work, and I couldn't even bear it, dude. It was so bad of audio quality.
Really?
I forget how we recorded originally.
On
I know
your
it was
1970s MacBook.
okay. I think it's like 2006, but yeah.
No, that's like 2011 or so. I had a 2006 iMac or a MacBook Pro. That thing still had like a button you had to press to open it. Apple doesn't like buttons anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I have this really old, I don't know if it's a MacBook Pro. It's a black one. But the battery actually like blew out of it.
Oh,
the
yeah.
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane. I still have it. I'm pretty sure it still works, but it needs to be plugged in the whole time because the battery just does not hold a charge at all.
Oh, I used to have a whole arsenal of old Mac laptops because my dad was an IT guy for he's still an IT guy for like 40 years. So
wow.
When he worked for this big corpo that used to be in Harrisburg, he used to bring me all these like junk pieces of tech and just like let me Frankenstein them together.
That's awesome.
And I had this whole collection of like power books that I had to leave plugged in all the time and try and get them to do things, and they were ultimately just a lot of junk sitting in my room. It's kind of like now.
Sounds like fun.
Right?
It sounds like my game collection now.
Just junk.
I
just
like to
all
think
over.
that I've curated the most important parts of my collection now.
So yeah, let's talk about your game collection. Let's talk about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so
you do a podcast, right?
I do a podcast. It's a fairly new podcast. Well, at least our show on the podcast. Our show is called Foundation Radio. It's a college radio program we did back at Westchester University about 10 years ago. And we just recently started being a part of the Might Be News Network. If you search Might Be News Network, that's where you find our podcast. Okay. There's 6 different shows on the podcast network, as we call it. And we air every other Thursday. We'll actually have an episode coming up this Thursday where my two co-hosts, Greg and Adam, actually went to the Philadelphia Holocaust Center and interviewed a Holocaust survivor for that episode. I won't be a part of that one, but we kind of just talk about whatever we feel like talking about on our podcast. I am kind of the resident gamer and the tech guy on our podcast. My one buddy's like almost too into pop culture. If there's a pop culture topic or a political topic, he usually wants to talk about it. We try to avoid politics on our show.
Yeah.
But then the other one, he's real into table gaming. He's also he's a geologist of all things. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, we try to keep it pretty diverse, and
you should actually bring him over, because one of the first things I started collecting, I guess, would be like gemstones and rocks when I was like a hippie back in the days.
Okay.
And I used to remember like all the names of them, but like when you're at music festivals buying rocks and crystals and you're doing things that you probably shouldn't be doing.
Taking acid that might lead to a killing spree
in
a video game.
Yeah, you heard that one. You end up forgetting what these rocks are called, and especially after the years. But I still love looking at them. I don't believe that there's any like supernatural powers or healings or whatever. But
I don't know. I might be able to get Greg to evaluate. He lives over in Media, and he visits from time to time. So maybe we'll get him to evaluate your rocks. So Greg, cool. When you inevitably listen to this, because I tell you to, we'll get you to do that. But yeah, so I'm also into the video game collecting. I mentioned it a little bit before we got the podcast going, but it's sort of evolved over the years, where when I was real little, it started as PC gaming exclusively, because when I was younger, my dad had access to all this computer stuff, all this really cool computer stuff, and he was like, Sam, PCs, computers can do everything that any console could do, so you should play games on PC all the time. When I first was a real little that I can recount, he had a 2600. He had a VCS, nice. Like a little the junior console, as some people call it, and he sold it when I was like 5, and I never forgot that. And then from there, I always had an interest in console games, because, it's like PCs are awesome, but my friends all have this thing called the Super Nintendo that has these games that I can't play on a PC, at least yet. And I just always had this deep-rooted interest in that kind of stuff. So I grew up playing, your DOS games, Doom, Wolfenstein, all that stuff. Yeah. But I always kept that interest in Nintendo, and Sega was a big one. My cousin was a big time Sega. Like, if there was an accessory for the Genesis, he had it, to include the Nomad. Like in 1995, when the Nomad was new, he had it. Yeah,
my one neighbor introduced me to the Nomad, and like I forgot about it for the longest time, but he was like, "Yeah, check this out. It can play Echo the Dolphin portably." I'm like, "Oh my god!" And this kid was like really into dolphins. So like that was his game of choice.
I mean, that was a cool game. It was one that was a little bit over my head as a kid.
Yeah, same.
But my cousin was more like, it plays NHL. I was like, sweet. I mean, I thought it was cool at the time, because I had an NHL game for my PC that wasn't nearly as cool as playing it in my hands. Mm-hmm. And so eventually the nail in the coffin for me as a life of video game collecting was when my buddy sold me an N64 for like $30 with all his games, because it was at a point in time where like that. Now, to set the scene, this was probably like 2003. Nice. And like no one really cared about N64 at the moment.
Video games did not matter that much.
So like everybody had their I was in high school, so like everybody had their PS2, and they were like, that's all we need. So I got an N64. From there, it blew up to be like, I don't know, 10 or 12 consoles. All the Nintendo consoles. I had all the PlayStation consoles that I needed, at least.
Yeah.
And then just anything I could get my hands on. I ended up buying that Atari that I remembered as a little kid. Anything I could get my hands on that I could play and plug into a TV all simultaneously. I had like the ultimate rig. I had the MAME arcade cabinet. I went and built a whole arcade cabinet.
Do you still have that?
I don't. And that's actually probably a good segue into my sort of tipping point and my move to being a little bit more minimalist about it. So this was all when I was still living with my parents. I had all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, like 23 or 24 hits, and they're kind of like, maybe you should get an apartment. And I was like, I don't have any money because I spent it all on these video games. So over the years, what I've really come to appreciate is the fact that, like, I really am mostly, I've always been like real big into like following what people collect and, values of certain things. But what I've come to realize is that for me, it's really just about playing the games and enjoying the ones that I have.
I agree with you.
And, that's really become, for me at least, just keeping the things that are really important to me.
Yeah.
So these days I've sort of pared down. I admittedly am the guy that has the flash cart for the N64, but not.
And I saw that. So you have a EverDrive 64.
I do. I have an EverDrive 64.
So we just met Sam like 2 weeks ago at a barbecue at my house, and I didn't know anyone. This was my wife's barbecue. I was just the grill master for it. And surprisingly enough, you came wearing a Game Boy shirt.
Not knowing at all what I was walking into either. I was like, oh, I like my Game Boy shirt. I'll wear it today.
And then like two other guys like wore like Nintendo shirts, and I was like, wow, like this is pretty cool. Like I'm actually happy with the people that are here.
It's funny. I've actually known your wife for a few years through the theater stuff, and my wife is a lot more involved in the theater stuff than I am these days. But I had no idea that I was stepping into
an arcade room,
and like
those game room.
I don't know. It's like you walk into somebody's game room, and it's like I can speak these people's language.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like I can step into this, and I know what I'm talking about because it's like I've done this over the years.
Yeah.
But,
so I invited you
Yeah.
to record a podcast with us because we love having guests on. Because when it's just Tony and me, we don't know what the fuck to say to each other.
You just got to get out the swear jar and hope that topics come out.
Yeah, right? Yeah. There's a coin for the swear jar, too, which we don't have. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But, so the EverDrive 64, surprisingly enough, I just got one.
Oh, really?
Not yet, but I just won one in a raffle.
Oh, sweet.
For $10.
Yeah.
So this guy added me like last weekend while I was drinking, and sure enough, his name on Instagram was Game Bo, like spelled the same way as my name.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm drunk, looking at the people that liked my photos and the people that followed me that day, and I'm like, Game Bo, and I looked at his stuff, and I was like, like he only has 5 pictures. His name's Bo. There can only be one Bo. Like, no, you're not getting followed by me. And then another friend of mine that I've been following for a while, Tara, Jackrabbit Gamer, her claim sale page, she was helping him do a raffle for this EverDrive 64. And there's like 20 spots at $10. And I just admitted everything the other day to her and to him in the comments. I was like, just so you know, Gamebo, like, I was very drunk when you added me. I added you now, but did not like seeing that there was another Bo in the community, so I didn't add you right away. But I am interested in this EverDrive. It's tempting me, but at the same time, I have every N64 game that I could possibly want, plus more, So I really don't need this. And then he kept commenting. He's like, oh, you got the Bo luck. Like, don't worry about it. Like, if you want to join, you probably win since your name's Bo. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then we started, like, privately messaging each other.
That sounds exactly like something you would say.
I know. It's really weird.
Like, get someone to buy something.
It's really weird.
Someone to do something.
Yeah, I know. It's really weird. But I was like, screw it. Like, they had buy 4 tickets at $35 or just buy one at $10. And I'm always about saving money. So I was like, oh, maybe I should just do the 4 spots. I was like, nah, screw it. I'm like, I already spilled my beans about how I felt about this guy joining the community. So I'll just, throw in $10, do lucky number 7 out of the 20 spots. And sure enough, I won the next day. I was like, hell yeah. And he's like, man, I sort of regret, raffling this off. And I'm like, you made your money. Like, don't worry about it. And it's going to another bow. So good on you. So shout out to you, Gamebo. I wish you the best. Go give him a follow. It's just one word, Gamebo. Beau. But yeah, I'm excited to have the EverDrive 64 in it. It got me contemplating, like, my TurboGrafx 16 that's plugged in. Absolutely love that system. I started collecting for it and realized how expensive it was to collect for it. Like, the games are super rich. And
especially in this area.
Especially anywhere, like eBay or whatever.
Right.
Like, if you want the good games, like...
I just mean, like, you don't find a lot of people, like, immediately in this area that had that system ever.
Oh, yeah.
It just never really landed here.
My one buddy has a huge collection of it. But I had probably a dozen games for it, and then I came across eBay listing for an EverDrive for that system, and I was like, well, if this has everything, plus the PC Engine games as well...
Yeah.
I'm going to just buy that. And it was like, it was a pretty pricey investment, like $170. But I got that where, one game could easily cost you $200, So I ended up selling my whole PC Engine TurboGrafx 16 Hue cards that I had. And just have that I'm rocking with the Turbo Express Portable plus a console system. And I'm thinking, once I get this EverDrive, I might just sell off my 64 collection because I'm all about minimalizing and making things smaller.
I'll tell you what, I mean, I've had flash carts for NES, Super Nintendo, and N64. I don't have the Super Nintendo or NES flash carts anymore because I've since also picked up the classic editions and hacked them and just put everything I wanted on them.
Yeah.
So... the N64 flash cart, depending on which one you get. Now, I'm curious if he gave you the V3, like the newest one. This guy, I think he's Swedish. I can't remember. It's Crixzy on online. He's the one that's doing like the good EverDrives. Crix, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the company that I got the TurboGrafx from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just a guy that does this.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy because it's like sometimes he'll have a big stock of certain items and other times. And if you go, I think it's StoneAgeGamer.com also sells his stuff at a fairly fair rate. But I've always heard that's like try to get them from him if you can, just because it supports him directly. But the EverDrive 64 is the first one where it was like actually completely fully functional and it did everything where I didn't even have to think about like, oh, it's a flash cart, so I better be careful how I save it, because like the NES, it was always like the battery backup was there, but it was screwy sometimes about saving games. The Super Nintendo didn't at the time. I guess that's changed since then with a firmware update, but it didn't play any of the Super FX games. So like Star Fox, Super Mario World 2, not that it matters, but like Stunt Race FX, those were all out of the question.
Stunt Race FX is an amazing game.
Is it?
Yeah. I loved it.
All right.
I haven't played it.
Fair
in years,
enough.
But yeah.
Say that's not one I was ever like around a lot, but the N64 flash cart, without really thinking about it, just does everything.
Does it just save regularly?
Yeah. So the only thing that was weird about the older versions, and it hasn't mattered to me, is that certain games had the internal clock functionality.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing was one that did that.
But that's a Japanese game, right?
Yeah, and there was a couple of other like random features that were weird. I think saves on certain carts were one of the things, and it might, I don't remember if it was to do with the memory expansion on N64 or if it was just the actual physical size of the cart that was screwy with it.
Yeah.
But the version that I've had, and it's the version that's been out for 2 years. I bought mine a while ago now, and it's pretty great. I mean, of course, I've always sort of been. I was a child of the Napster era of online piracy, so I've found
me too.
I've found my my sources for certain full ROM sets over the years, and
LimeWire.
Yeah, I just loaded up my flash cart with everything.
Yeah.
And like beyond the only, I'd say that's, well, okay, so there's one limitation to the N64 flash cart, and that's that ROM hacks on N64 are a lot harder to load than other systems. Certain ones will load, but like most of the ROM hacking on N64 is like like texture packs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily built-in like rendering engines. It's all stuff that people did in emulation. Because N64, I mean, N64 emulation's all up and down the board.
Oh,
but
it's
like,
one of the harder systems.
Sure. I mean, all the
emulate.
like co-processing that's going on from everything that I've ever learned about it, at least. So yeah, all the like a lot of texture mods for N64, like ROM hacks, rather than just like like any like 16 8-bit kind of thing. As far as like a ROM hack goes, it's usually pretty straightforward, and that's actually one of the coolest things about the older system flash carts is being able to load up stuff like that on a console. But yeah, the flash cart has been more than what I've needed, and honestly, it's like some of those games, just the sheer price based on the demand for certain N64 games, it's like I just can't bring myself to pay just to be able to play it again when I could just pay for the whole.
Honestly, all the expensive games for N64 suck anyway.
Well, and it's like the ones that are actually like quote a value, like your sculptor's cuts and stuff like that. It's like
it's not that great.
No, it's not even like a.
And the bowling one, not that good.
Oh yeah, what is Super Bowling or whatever Ultra Bowling?
I don't even know what it is. It sucks.
But yeah, so between tell you what, between the flash cart and I also have the Ultimate Fighters, the Kickstarter gamepad that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah,
for the
Retro
N64
Fighters.
Retro Fighters. Thank you. Yeah. So between those two, it's a pretty good combo as far as having like an N64 set that I'm pretty happy with. Although I see over on your shelf right now the Hori mini pad looking controllers. Are those the OG Horis or are those the new ones?
Yeah, I actually just put those out.
Those are
that you would see
sweet. Yeah. I grew up right in the N64
I have another
time
one
frame.
somewhere,
So
another color. I don't know. I've raffled a bunch.
those are dope.
I have a green and clear one too. But
Yeah, right on.
I love them. It changes the whole format of N64 games because you're so used to the three little prongs coming out at you and holding it from the middle. Whereas a Hori pad, if you're not familiar with it, it's a very small controller. Your knuckles are like almost touching each other. But the joystick is on the left side. The D-pad, which you hardly ever use for an N64 game, is right in the middle. And then your Z button is at the top, and there's two Z buttons with the right and left button as well.
Which is how the Retro Fighters controller is configured as well. It's a little wider.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. The only issue with the Retro Fighters controller, and I didn't take them up on it when they offered to repair it, the left side, the L button, it's on like the bumper essentially for the way they built the controller. It interfaces weirdly with the joystick if you're using both at the same time. I didn't find it to be an issue in like any games that I had been playing at the time, so I didn't worry about it. But like I notice it just because someone pointed it out, and I'll like be holding the controller and like make it get stopped up. But yeah, it's kind of interesting now that N64 is starting to fall into sort of that realm of like the more desirable retro system in a lot of people's minds, like what people are doing with it.
I think it's honestly more desirable just because it's one of the easiest things to collect for.
Yeah.
Also, it's at that age right now where the kids that grew up on it, where that was their first system, they're now old enough where they're in college or they just got out of college. And they remember that, and they have money now because they're working a decent job, so they want to start collecting for it again to relive their childhood memories. Like, mine was Super Nintendo, essentially. Even though, like, I grew up on Nintendo, my first system was 2600. Like, Super Nintendo was the one that I remember collecting for and still have my whole game collection, which is a small collection for Super Nintendo, but it's all very quality games. I've sold off all the ones that I don't want to play, that didn't do it for me, but the originals that I still do have, like, are the ones from when I was a child. So I think that's what it is. Same with PS1. Like, PS1 games right now are just, like, skyrocketing in price. And they have been for a while. But, like, the rare ones just keep going up. And now PS2 as well is going up.
That's the one I've noticed lately.
Yeah.
I was trying to buy up PS2 games for a while when, like, everybody else was still kind of stuck on, earlier Nintendo and stuff like that. I was like, I'm just going to start buying the PS2 games that I want now, because I know in a few years, if I don't have these now, and I started to realize there's like certain systems I can sort of bring, emulator or like, your classic systems and stuff. I was like, but PS2 is not necessarily one that's as uniform for that kind of stuff. I was like, I just want to have what I want, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy how some of this stuff is starting to shift a little bit as far as I've seen it over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. So to change subject a little bit, we had a hand-drawn picture from Matt's Vitter Game Corner. Did I pronounce that right?
Matt's Video Game Corner?
No, it's like Vitter.
Okay.
I think it's like more like that Southern Florida slang, Vitter Game Corner.
I don't know if that's what they say in Florida.
I don't know. That's his name. Matt's _ Vitter Game Corner. He drew us a picture of Chrono from Chrono Trigger and Ness from Earthbound, and he put a versus sign up on it. I asked him, I was like, draw one of them, and he was like, I'm going to just draw both of them. I love this image. I'm actually going to get Chrono tattooed on my Nintendo arm next month, hopefully, but probably my tattoo artist will just color in Mario and the Game Boy. But either way, I proposed the question to all of our followers. Who do you think would win this battle? Are you familiar with Chrono and Ness?
I'm more familiar with Ness, not as much Chrono. But
okay. So who do you think would win then? Ness probably?
Probably Ness, just purely based on his fighting experiences in Smash.
Yeah. Okay.
Say he's hard to beat in Smash.
I wish Chrono was in Smash, honestly. But we got some cool answers. Zap Night Gaming, who does weekly podcasts as well, he says Chrono all the way because of his weapons, magic, and friends. Not to say friendship is the best magic. More like dual techs and triple techs are awesome, strong, and ingenious battle system, which was great for a JRPG where you get this bar that, goes up in time. So if you wait for all your comrades' bar to go up, you can do this dual or triple magic attack that was just like so overpowering, where you could hit all the enemies that were like around each other. Amazing. So I definitely agree with him on that one. Just a hipster girl, she writes, what incredible art. I love how the characters are perfectly drawn and the background behind each of them is discreet but makes all the difference. Congrats for the artist. But don't know. I've played Earthbound and I know what Ness can do, but I haven't played Chrono Trigger, so I'm not sure how far Chrono can go. However, I'd still pick him, just because I have a feeling and because he has a purple background. Good answer.
Purple
Good
powers.
reasoning,
Yeah. V-Pixels writes, this artwork is amazing. I know Ness is from Earthbound Mother 2, but I've unfortunately never played the series. I have both on emulators and really need to play them, but I've been waiting until I can dedicate time to both games. With that being said, I'd go with him, especially since I don't know who the other character is. Short Select, shout out to you guys. They do a weekly podcast. I believe they're from the UK, right?
Definitely from the UK.
Yeah. He says, not sure who these even are, so dude with the sword, I guess. I said, you got some studying to do. And he says, never really been into Nintendo. At this point,
they're British. They just play ZX Spectrum and
Commodore
and Commodore and all that.
He says, at this point, there's too much to catch up on. And I said, don't give up. There's so much you're missing. Just pick up an SNES Classic to play some of the great titles. And he said, I might get a Switch for the new Pokemon game. Which, there's so many other great games for the Switch.
Seriously.
Yeah, Switch is where it's at.
But
it's crazy, though, listening to you read, like, what he's typing, and then if you ever listen to those guys talk, you can, like, barely understand what they're saying.
They are very British. They're like, I don't know, like...
advanced British.
Yeah.
Like,
AP British.
Like the gangsters of British, I guess. Like
Cockney thugs.
Yeah. What is Cockney? Is that
it's like when you have a... it's like an old school, harsh British accent.
I was gonna say, yeah, Cockney.
Homeless people that lived on the
like
street.
the.
It's a dialect of the British accent, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and everybody always makes fun of it. But if you've ever seen Dick Van Dyke's attempt at a British accent in the movie Mary Poppins.
Okay.
It is his attempt at a Cockney accent, which is terrible. That's like a very, very poor rendition
Give
of
us
a Cockney
give us
accent.
a rendition.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't.
Do it. Just do
I
it.
need
Just
another
try.
beer before that.
Just try it.
It's a bit embarrassing to try and come up with right off the top.
That
That was great.
And he
That-
tries
that
to
was-
say things that are not quite British.
Yeah.
You sound like Austin Powers' dad.
I know what he means. I say that's a deep pull. I got that
Yeah.
one.
Let's talk
So when
about
they
this
when they
beer.
talk in British.
Let's talk about this beer. So we're drinking on New Holland Brewing Hoptronix. It's a double India Pale Ale, so a double IPA. And the artwork is amazing to me, which I just noticed. Like, I thought it was just Space Invaders. Have you looked at it closely, Tony?
Hops Invaders.
Yeah, so it's essentially a bunch of hops coming down as Space Invader aliens, and you're shooting them. I
The
don't
hops
know.
at the top are a lot happier than the ones that are
Yeah,
about
I
to get
just
shot.
noticed
Yeah.
that.
It's a really cool can. It's a 9% beer. They're out of New Holland or Holland, Michigan. It's a heavy beer. I picked this up like a week ago, and I drank like one a night, and I was just like, I gotta save this for the podcast because I cannot be drinking all these.
Is it that good? Or it's just strong?
Have you opened yours?
No.
Open it.
I like me a good double, so this is always.
I like one good double a night, I feel like.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Just in general, specifically the double IPA is always one that
Yeah.
I appreciate.
I think it's solid. Like, you can definitely tell that it's a higher ABV.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't, like, hit you at first that heavy. Like, I've noticed, like, I drank half the can already. I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling it.
It's
I al-
incredibly smooth.
Yeah. for
Definitely.
9%. Yeah.
I also have to add that I was just catching up on your last episode towards the end of this week, and I appreciate that you also appreciate Westies as much as
Yes.
I do.
Yeah.
Even
That's
though
where we were
you live,
today.
Yeah.
even though you live within like 3 beer distributors shot of Westies,
Oh, yeah.
like I do, you still. I bought all the beer for my wedding at Westies.
Oh,
I
smart
go over
man.
there anytime I want something that's like very specific, and they actually.
Very specific.
Yeah.
And, or if you're like, you don't care and you're just balling on a budget, like, we just go to the sales section.
Yep.
in the
Oh,
back.
yeah.
Like, I picked up a 12-pack today that was like a crushed box of Dale's Pale Ale, which we love.
Yeah.
For $9.99, and Tony was like, "Man, I just picked up a 6-pack for $9.99."
Yeah, no, I literally bought a 6-pack for like $12
Yeah,
today.
a 6-pack I
Today.
bought was
Yeah.
more than that.
Damn.
Of
Yeah.
Dale's Pale Ale, I went to Wise.
yeah, $9.99 for a 12-pack. I was like, "Hell yeah!" Just because the box is messed up, I don't care. Like, give it
To see if Westies will endorse your podcast.
Yeah, seriously.
I know who the owner is now. She's like 98-year-old lady with a walker. She was in there earlier. And
She could very well be older than 98. I'm
Very
just
well.
gonna put
I don't
that
think
out
they're
there.
endorsing your podcast
No,
anymore.
I don't think they are. She'd be like, "Podcast? Do you fix iPods?" Yeah, I don't know, but like, yeah, I doubt she would even know what that is. They're not endorsing it at all.
No, she was
No.
a nice lady.
No, not at all.
She sells great beer.
Yeah.
She
At
does
a reasonable price.
at a really good price. She's like, just discount it. I don't care. I'm all about it. So we watched the Pokemon Direct that aired this week. What do you guys like? Where do you guys stand in Pokemon? Like, I know Tony is a huge Pokemon fan. I'm a pretty big fan of Pokemon as well. Not necessarily the newer games like 3DS, DS games. I wasn't really big into. I played a few of them, but I never played through them. Like, I played through the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games multiple times. What do you guys think about it?
I was excited, once I saw it. That's what I wanted more from Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go
Yeah.
Eevee. Like, that's kind of what I was expecting, so when
That's
I got
what I
those
was hoping
games, I
for.
was somewhat disappointed. But now, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. One thing that I've had a hard time with ever since, I don't know, like Ruby version or something,
For the
them
Game
adding
Boy
new
Advance?
Pokemon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with the new Pokemon.
You don't like Wooloo?
No. Is that the sheep?
That's the new sheep.
Yeah. I love that guy.
And I
that
mean,
was
I get it.
explaining it.
And there was a whole backstory behind it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this village of people, heard the wolf. Give me a fucking break. dude.
That-
What
Yeah.
the fuck does, excuse my cursing.
It's okay.
Charizard, and stuff. What he doesn't do anything.
They
He's a
use his
lizard.
fire to make wool for
Yeah,
the people of the
They
village
use his
of
fire to torture
Galdar.
evil Pokemon
Yeah.
trainers. But yeah,
He lights candles. All right.
Yeah.
That's it. This big,
You know,
big freaking dragon with
someone
wings.
called Charizard.
Yeah.
Pokemon don't need a purpose. I don't need a whole backstory.
I was wondering if that was a thing because I sort of thought the same thing. I was like, oh, it's a new Pokemon. I was like, oh, the Wooloo one's funny because it's a sheep and it's really just pretty much a sheep.
Yeah.
I was like,
The thing
do
is,
Pokemon have a like a utility now?
They didn't before though.
Okay.
That's the thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I was like, I don't remember Pokemon ever because I'm kind of in the same boat as Bo, where it's like I am a big Pokemon appreciator, but I haven't played much past like for me more like just the Game Boy games.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like they did have a purpose in the cartoon.
Yeah, but it wasn't the same. Like
Chansey would
now,
heal
I feel like they're
Pokemon.
trying really hard. Like
It was all of them though. It's like Wooloo is the only one I remembered, but like there all of them ones they were explaining. The art director was
yeah.
like,
and I do
they
like
do
it to an
this.
extent because they're like, oh, there's a village up in the mountains, and they're putting more of a backstory on it, which is nice.
So I think they're doing that because of the movie and because they want to make more movies. Like the
And maybe the
Detective
style of
Pikachu
game it is.
movie, literally every Pokemon in the city, like they weren't allowed to battle in the city. They all worked with humans. So like the Machamps were like the officers, They were the traffic directors.
Yeah, but it's not like I guess
Like
there was some stuff.
There's
like
a
that.
Charmander that was like making hibachi and stuff on a street corner. Like
Right on.
like
Kebab.
everyone was just doing their own thing, like so I think they're just sort of intertwining that. Like the whole thing with Wooloo, like there's already another Pokemon from a newer generation that's a sheep Pokemon. It's a lightning sheep Pokemon. And I forget its name. Mareep, I think it is. And
That sounds right.
yeah, he like evolves. I only know this from Pokemon Go, the cell phone game, but he evolves into like this giraffe-looking motherfucker. Like it makes no sense whatsoever. But like I would rather have like animal-looking things that might be duplicates in the sense than like something that's like, oh, here's a streetlight Pokemon. Like let's just put googly eyes on this streetlight,
Yeah.
or let's.
I don't know. That other Pokemon though was like a flower with a wig on.
Yeah.
It evolved into like a big like
Yeah,
cupcake.
poofy hair, like a
Yeah.
little afro.
Yeah.
But like that's like a seed that
Yeah.
once it's like fermented or whatever before it
Yeah, well,
flies
that's
away, like,
like,
that makes sense.
That was Blossom was a Pokemon, and
Yeah.
then it had like 3 forms. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's got to be tough for them to make new Pokemon.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Well, they got a French guy doing it now, so I think they have to.
Is he French?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
What about
impression that I got.
Wasn't there an Australian guy or British Australian guy? I thought
You're
was
just
one of
really
the guys.
bad with accents. I think he was French.
Dialect.
This guy was definitely French, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, I mean, they're not that French people can't come up with it. I just mean everybody else in the video was like either Japanese or like working for Game Freak or like actually American people. But then it was like, we'll cut to the art director now, and it was like
Yeah.
he seemed primed to speak English comparatively.
And it was
But-
nice that, he's probably seeing it through a whole different eye. Like he came in there with an artist background. I think I might be wrong about this, but I think he's the same concept artist for Detective Pikachu Pokemon as well.
Okay.
Which makes a little bit sense that they would keep him on for this project. So I really loved the video. Like when they first started talking about the new Pokemon Sword and Shield and they showed us a very short trailer in that Pokemon Direct, I was just like, this just looks like a glorified 3DS game. Like I'm not about it. Whatever. Like I'll probably buy it, but not open it like I did for Pokemon Let Go Pikachu. So I haven't opened that game because I watched Tony play his copy and I was just like, not really impressed.
Yeah, and I haven't really played it since that either.
Yeah,
It's not that good.
it's a very simple game. It's like for beginners. It's for kids. I feel like more so. But what I really loved about this game was that it integrated what is going on with Pokemon Go through the cell phone, where you can actually. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. You can do these giant raid battles with friends online or local co-op, which I thought was amazing. So Pokemon can go through this Dynamax stage where they just grow exponentially big, and one person can make their Pokemon huge that's in this raid, and you have to use that properly to take down this Pokemon, and then you can possibly catch this Pokemon at a giant stage. And I love like seeing the big Pokeball that they threw. It caught the Gyarados, and then it landed on the ground and literally like shook the earth. I was like, this is amazing.
That was the one thing I was confused about with the max raid battles, though, is it's like one person gets to have their Pokemon be max rated, essentially.
Yeah.
Then who gets to catch it?
The person, I'm guessing that.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
max
I was just
rated.
like,
Or do you find them in the wild at all?
Yeah, you can find them in the wild,
Yeah.
and then most gym battles are that way. Like, there's only special areas that you can do the Dynamax thing with. I don't think it's going to be that much different in the battle system wise. It's just going to be like way cooler graphics.
and that's the one thing I am curious to see still is like very specifically the battle gameplay.
Yeah.
Because there was gameplay footage in the direct, but it was all like
You didn't see,
the
like, any of the
subtext
text.
of like
Yeah.
gameplay not final, and it was like essentially like
Yeah.
trailer kinds of things. So I'm curious how that's going to look because
I think it's going to be
exciting.
very similar. You know, it's going to be very similar to the Game Boy games where, you know, it's do you want to fight? Do you want to use
Sure.
an item? Do you want to change the Pokemon? Do you want to run or flee?
And I kind of hope so. I mean,
Yeah,
that
I think-
gameplay element shouldn't really go
Yeah.
away.
If it's good, keep it. And Pokemon's good at keeping it. The other thing that I loved about it is that you can move the camera around with the second joystick.
That looked
which is the
awesome.
first time ever in any Pokemon game. Like, that to me is amazing. And just that you can see the Pokemon live on the screen, which is similar to Pokemon Go, which is similar to Let's Go Pikachu as well. Like, you can see the Pokemon, so you're like, all right, I already have this Pokemon. You know, I don't need to fight it. Like, you can just run away from it without having to battle it. I think that's a great concept. It reminded me of Breath of the Wild almost. Like, graphically, it looks amazing. I'm super pumped for this. I love that there's online play with it too, that you can team up. I'm hype. I am going to buy that collector's edition one where it comes with both the games and probably just play the one. And if I need to play the other one to catch them all, so be it. You know, like, I'm totally stoked for this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The only thing I always want out of every Pokemon game, I want like better fight scenes. You know,
I think this will do
You might
it.
get
though.
it.
I don't know. I think from
this
what
will
I
do it.
watched, I feel like I
Did you
might
see
be
the
a little disappointed.
Dynamax fights though? Like,
Yeah.
where like the whole stadium there was
Yeah.
lightning going down. The
I'm
floor was
hoping.
shocking.
I'm hoping this is everything I've ever wanted. You know, but
To me though, like the one thing that sort of threw me off was like while they were in the stadium and they're like the crowd gets really excited for these Dynamax battles, they kept showing the same scene of the crowd.
well,
where
they
it
don't
was
want to
like,
give too much away.
Yeah, but I was like thinking also like it's probably a cut and paste thing where they show the crowd like either happy or not like
Oh yeah.
that excited, and it's just the same thing over and over
No,
again.
as a sports game enthusiast, I can almost guarantee you
Yeah,
that the
it's gonna be like
stadium
that.
isn't going to be like terribly exciting
Yeah.
if you see it a lot.
Yeah.
But I actually thought that was one of the cooler things as somebody who really experienced most of Pokemon through the Game Boy specifically. Going to like the gyms being like big stadiums full of people definitely adds a little bit more context to like the importance of that part
Oh,
of the
yeah.
game. I think that part makes it.
I definitely love that. I love the idea of them
Yeah.
having it be more of a spectator thing. You know.
So I wonder, you know how like when you would go to a Pokemon gym in the Game Boy games, you're still fighting a bunch of trainers before you get to the gym leader.
Do you
like,
think that's how it's going to be?
I don't know.
I have a
Like,
feeling it will be the way they introduced the sort of like the main. I'm assuming he's the antagonist. I think his name was Leon.
I think
or-
that's just one of the gym leaders.
okay. Because I was.
well, there's the
and then there was his brother that was like your big rival. Or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, that wasn't gym leader. That's like your rival, and then like the best Pokemon leader, which I guess
Yeah.
would be like part of the Elite Four. Maybe there's only
And
an Elite One.
They also
in this one.
introduced that other trainer character, which led me to believe that like a very similar dynamic to that kind of thing at certain points.
Like she's like a Misty, maybe.
Well, there was that one, but then there was the guy that was like. All I remember is he had like a utility belt full of Pokeballs.
Oh, he was the first gym leader. I'm
Okay.
guessing
Yeah.
he was the grass gym leader, which would make
I
sense.
believe so.
Yeah.
He was kind of thick.
Yeah.
meaty guy.
He was.
He looked like a camp counselor.
Yeah, he was unproportionate in the sense, like very big up top and small skinny legs down below. I'm excited. I'm pumped. Can't wait to battle that grass gym leader that had no nose but a lot of freckles where the nose should have been. Totally down for it. I'm guessing it's going to be similar to like Pokemon Red and Blue, where you get the Pokemon Sword version. There's like 3 or 5 Pokemon that you can't get on the Pokemon Shield version. So that's why you have both of them to be able to trade with your friends and all this.
I'm sure the legendary Pokemon will have something to do with it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whoa. Excuse me, this beer is great. So I have a good one for you guys. If you could turn a newer game, like from this generation, like not necessarily like an indie game, but like a first party game like God of War, let's say, into a 16-bit or 8-bit game, what would it be? So, for example, mine would be a Super Smash Brothers game for the original Game Boy.
All right.
And like use the actual link cable that they came out with for the Tetris game. And there's 8 characters, in 8-bit with the green screen, and you can be Kirby, Mario, Luigi, DK, and whoever else. But the attacks are very simple, but you're on a stage and you're just able to battle it out. Like, how about that? Be super fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's an interesting concept.
And what's interesting about it is that after I thought about that, I looked it up, and there's actually that. They have
Well,
that.
I was going to say, isn't there a fan game out there that's like a 16-bit looking Super Smash?
Yes, but it's only for like PC.
Right.
Yeah,
because
sucks.
One of the YouTubers that I watch did this. I think it was Peanut Butter Gamer on YouTube. Did like a weird Smash fan games episode. It was either him or his buddy. I forget what his name is. But yeah, it was. I saw, and as soon as you said that, I was like, I think there's a PC thing out there.
There
like
is,
that.
But it looks like it's on the Game Boy. Like it has the green background and the black sprites. And I'm just like, man, like someone please just like make this into a cartridge game, because I don't do laptop gaming or PC gaming. Like I have to have that console in my hands or the controller in my hands to actually pick it up and play it.
Okay.
But yeah, I would love that. To have a physical release of that, and I think it's very doable.
The concept of the link cable, I think, makes it more palatable. So I was thinking about it, I was like, do you just play like
the computer
AI opponents in Smash all the time, which I don't mind doing.
Yeah,
but
no, I think the link cable like utilize that more than just the Tetris game, and they had the 4-player link cable like almost immediately after the original Game Boy came out, I believe. So yeah, make it, Nintendo. If you're listening, make it. How about you, Tony? What would you make?
I don't know. I think it might be cool to see a game kind of like Red Dead Redemption style, at least with similar like quests and stuff.
Like for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that could be interesting. And maybe make a crude way of shooting. Guns and bow and arrow and.
I think if you're going to do Red Dead, it'd be fun to do it like the original GTA for PlayStation. Like Red Dead, but overhead the whole time.
Yeah, that's how I envision it, where like you're essentially in the car most of the time.
Or
which
sort
they
of
had that for Game Boy as well, Game Boy Color.
So if you wanted to go like older school, you could take Red Dead and almost turn that into the concept of like original like Zelda or something like that, because there's a lot of like old school shooting in that.
I was thinking of something similar.
Yeah,
maybe.
All right.
So this is what got me on this topic is when I was reading about Breath of the Wild, the developers of that actually developed Breath of the Wild on an 8-bit system originally.
I would love to find that
like
prototype.
the original Zelda game, not a Link to the Past.
Just Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
So is that but Breath of the Wild story and everything? So graphically, it looked like Legend of Zelda, but it was Breath of the Wild story and everything like that. And yeah, why don't they release that? They need to release that.
Someone break into the Nintendo headquarters and find
Please,
that.
or like a hacker, please just go and find it.
Someone in Seattle just drop a copy of that in a gutter sometime, or like have a
Yes.
yard sale.
Please. Like, think how amazing that would be. Like, so many people would love that. People would pay, top dollar for that.
I'd probably pay for that before I paid for the Switch version. I love the Switch version. I was just playing it this past week, but
We're huge
man, that
fans
would be
of it.
cool.
Yeah, right? How about you, Sam?
I thought about this for a while, and I think my conversion would be a 16-bit. I would take Rocket League
Oh yeah.
and turn it into a game that it would really utilize, what they call the Mode 7 functionality of the Super Nintendo. It would be a lot like the feel of F-Zero.
Graphically, would it look like F-Zero?
Graphically, it would probably come across that way, like the really fast-moving backgrounds, a little bit of that sort of feeling of airtime.
It wouldn't be overhead then.
No, it would not be. Definitely wouldn't be overhead. It would be from.
Like that.
It would be from that sort of third-person view of the vehicle. I tend to play. If I play Rocket League, I tend to play from that view pretty much exclusively, where it just follows the ball and goes wherever. So I felt like that would be like a really cool aesthetic to maintain sort of the speed of the experience of playing something like Rocket League, but bring it to the 16-bit platform.
Wow. You really thought about this.
I did. I thought about that hard because I was like, man, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And I think because Rocket League's one that I've been big on for, 2 years now, off and on, specifically on PC. Oh, I'm not good at it either, but I'll always keep playing it. It's one of the few games where probably about, 90% of my playing it has been online. I'm not always big about online play.
Yeah.
I was always big into like local multiplayer, but not necessarily I don't know. I grew up when online was like sort of abusive if you sucked at certain games. So like people just cursing and swearing at you when you weren't doing it right. It never sort of turned me off to it for the most part.
Last time I played Rocket League, everyone was really hating on me. And I'm pretty sure with the Switch, it was all text based. So they're typing this stuff in.
Well, you have like sort of the pre-programmed responses with the D-pad in that game. And I have it for both.
Can you type things in though too? Because I'm pretty sure people were like, "You really suck. Can you get off of our team?"
You can. I think that game has mostly crossplay though, because I have it for both Switch and PC. And as far as I can tell, the servers are pretty uniform as far as like the number of people that are on them.
Yeah.
Because I'll go in between. It's kind of annoying though, because like I have 2 different accounts where like I have how much I've played on Switch, which is like a decent amount, but then I put like hundreds of hours into it on PC, and I have a much different like setup and like unlocked stuff. So I have to like sort of decide which games I'm going to try to play on online for that one.
I think Rocket League though is pushing for cross progression though.
Yeah, now that Epic owns it too.
Yeah.
They're definitely pushing that a little bit more. I know that was part of the press release.
Might have already done it.
Well, I know it was a big deal when it first came out that between Xbox One, PS4, and PC there was some crossplay going on. Because I remember the first time that I was playing, that somebody sent me a message like, "I'm playing on PS4. What system are you on?" And I was like, "PC." I was like, that's kind of cool. Like I haven't done that a lot. Where like
just a random stranger message.
Yeah, there's just somebody I was playing against was like, "What console are you on?" I was like, "PC," and they were like, "Oh, I'm on." Yeah, I think it was PS4. They're
like, "You're a hacker."
Yeah, but no, that was kind of cool to have that sort of reinvigorated my interests in playing online games. And I subscribe to Switch Online now so that I play some of that stuff online too.
Dude, it's fun.
Oh, absolutely.
We gotta exchange friend codes then.
Yes, we do. And I always forget what mine is because I don't have that many Switch friends, but I'll have to.
Well, it's a bunch of numbers. So
I was gonna say I know.
Hope to God you don't have that memorized.
No, I just mean like I don't have it like saved anywhere that I like conveniently just give it to anyone.
Yeah.
I have to like look it up.
I'll load mine up and just
all
send you
good.
a picture of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Tony, what's your topic?
So we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but with Google Stadia,
Yeah.
Yes.
So say you're the first one to sign up, right?
Yeah.
What do you make your username?
So this is something that Stadia actually offered. Like, it was one of their publicity, like,
It's their founders edition benefit.
yeah, like if you pay the $130 to get the special controller, you also have the chance to choose the name that you want, your online screen name. Which I think is great marketing, honestly. Like,
That
a lot of
it's-
people want their names.
Every reviewer that I watched today was like,
Yeah.
"That's actually awesome."
Yeah, like, they
we
didn't
see
think
that as a
about it.
big coup.
Yeah, they
like,
didn't think about it. I personally don't think that Stadia is going to live that long.
Me neither.
Mate,
I want it to, but
maybe
it disappointed
5
me
years.
what it actually ended up being versus what I thought it was. I was saying it to Tony a little earlier, where I thought it was going to be more like Netflix. I thought, or like Game Pass or PS Now or any of those, where like you pay, even if it was like $30 a month, you just get access to a library of games. But
Yeah.
what I'm hearing and
you have
what
to pay for the full game.
so yeah, you're essentially paying for like server rendering space
Yeah,
and
and the game.
then also, but it's like, what happens
So
when
a $60 game is actually
Yeah.
costing you $70.
it's like, well, and to that, if you, let's say you pay $60 for a Stadia game, and in 2 years they no longer, I mean, it's Google, so there is the benefit of the fact that we can add, Google runs a lot of servers that they don't make money off of, the biggest one being YouTube. They don't make money off of YouTube. They've been running that at a loss for over a decade now.
Really?
So, oh yeah, no, they don't make money off of YouTube.
That's surprising.
YouTube has never turned a profit, at least is my understanding
with
of
the
that.
advertisements too.
Well, I think it makes money back, but I think it still operates at a loss, if I'm not mistaken. And I have a feeling that Google will be willing to dump money into Stadia longer than any other. Like, if anybody's going to jump in on something like that, it should be Google.
Yeah, or
because they
Amazon
have,
or something.
because well, and Amazon has the most web service of anybody with the AWS web server service out there. They'll support it longer than most people will. So I hope, I would love for something like that to make sense to the point that like you can pick it up and it's comfortable to play.
Yeah.
So,
Which will come down to the controller.
Yeah.
Is the controller comfortable?
well, and from what I saw, I'm a little bit skeptical because it looks a lot like a SteelSeries controller called the Stratus that I've used in the past, Stratus XL. And that's solely based on what I saw for the sticks. And the sticks, for whatever reason, on that controller has had a weirdly long throw in comparison to like the 360 or a PS3, 4, whatever, DualShock in general. So my understanding is that you don't necessarily have to have their controller to run it eventually. Maybe
Eventually, I think.
up front.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. And yeah, other consoles controllers have completely ruined them up and down the board.
Yeah,
But
it's hard to make a better controller than the PS4 controller.
that's very true. But to Tony's original point,
Yes, I was going to bring it back too. I'm glad you did. Because we went off topic.
oh, we were ready to talk about that
Yeah.
one. But what would the username be?
Mine would be, my number one would be guest.
Like-
Simply guessed.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think the best one to get is? Player one, right?
Player one would be great too, but guest would be awesome. Unless they have a guest. Like, that's like
Well,
the player
yeah, but
two.
then I mean, you still would be able to take
Yeah.
guest, right? Because I feel like that's clever, and no one else would have it, And if you're the first person to sign up and you get player one, there's
Yeah.
something to be said about that. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Everyone would remember that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a
I
tough
mean, there
one.
could be iterations of it too, where it's like player like _1, or player one. All
Yeah,
in
but if
one
it was
word.
just like capital P
yeah,
player and then one, like any other game you play.
yeah,
But yeah,
I might just pick I signed up first. No spaces.
That's a good-
no underscores.
but you can't prove it
yeah.
That's true.
because I feel like something like player one or guest, maybe even a lot of people are going to go for that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone.
Or they're gonna go for their.
Unless they're listening to this podcast tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, guess would be a great one or player one. Like, I'm definitely.
But if they go for Game Bo or Bo's Game Room,
Yeah.
they can have.
Or
it.
they would take some. They could probably take like a famous person's gamer tag, right?
Yeah.
Ninja.
Yeah, exactly. Is that his tag?
I don't actually know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ninja's tag is Ninja.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first. Yeah, I bet
I'm
it
sure
would be
there's
some
a lot
dork
of
would
people
want to
that
take
want to go
Ninja,
for Ninja, honestly.
and
Say.
then Ninja will have to buy it from him.
Yeah. He'll just be like,
PewDiePie.
yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm just, if I do sign up, it's going to be Big Dong 69
I was gonna say Carlos Spicy Wiener was
Yeah.
one that actually came to mind, admittedly.
underscore 420. You know, all day, every day. Big Dong 69. You know me. You can find me on Stadia.
Well, it's funny you say that though, because I watched this this tech review channel on YouTube out of Canada. Shout out to Linus Tech Tips. Not that they need it; they have like 10
Shout
million
out.
subscribers. But they were
we
like,
have double that.
yeah, oh, of course. And they were like, because you don't just want like Spicy Tony 70. I think he actually said Tony. I just said that off the top, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what he's like. You don't just want Spicy Tony 70. You got
That's exactly what I want.
Do it. That's probably one that they want now, you know? Or one they're, what did you say, 20,000 subscribers?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. At least one of their subscribers would want that name, Tony, so you should probably get it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yours would be Tony Hawk fan. Every time I'm like, Tony, what's your favorite game? He's like, Tony Hawk. And like eventually like it dawned on me, I'm like, you just like this game because your name is
Because
Tony.
it's your name.
Yeah.
I mean, Tonys do bond with each other, unlike Bows, who
Who
Bows.
obviously win raffles off of each other, so
Yeah, but at first they don't really like each other. But
That's-
if I meet another Tony, I'm like,
your
what's up.
Stadia name should be there can bow only one.
That's kind of clever.
Infinity.
It's too long.
Yeah, I was gonna
yeah,
say
yeah.
it's bordering on like early 2000s emo band
Mine
song.
would be Bo Nose.
Would you spell nose like the way you spell bows?
No,
That would be clever.
I'd do it NOSE. Bo Nose.
You could do it like a French Canadian too, and put like KNEAUX.
Yeah, you got to end it with an
Yeah.
X.
Yeah, no, I had my one buddy when I first like met him. He was like, "Is your name spelled with an X at the end?" I was like, "It's not, but I absolutely love that, and I'm going to start spelling it with an X at the end because I think that's great." He's like, "Yes, you should." I was like, "Cool." And then we became BFF.
Did we just become best friends?
All because of this X. So yeah, his name was Matt, and I was like, "Your name now is Matt with an X," and we're like, "Matt too." Tony too, right?
Yeah. So when I first met him, he introduced me to him as Matt too.
Yeah.
And we had another friend named Matt, and I thought he was just saying, this is Matt number 2.
I didn't realize that. That's funny.
We weren't creative enough to come up with another name, so we just added a number. He paid for the Founders Edition, friend.
yeah.
Are you sure he's all right with this, man?
Let's see.
Hey, you came second. Sorry, man. You too.
Oh man.
So, what have you guys been playing lately? Tony, I know you've been playing a game like all week long. You're addicted to this one game.
Yeah, I was just playing on the, what's that thing called?
It's a 3DS.
Yeah, it's a 3DS. Anyway, you're really going to hate me when I forget the name of the game.
Do you just want me to talk for you?
Yeah, well, dude.
All right,
Here's what
so
Tony's been playing.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we lied. He has not been playing. I was like, before
But the
before you came
joystick
over,
on that
Sam,
thing is awesome.
Yeah, before you came over, Sam, I was like, Tony, have you played any games this week? And obvious answer was no. I've been busy. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you're fucking playing a game right now, and you're going to talk about it like you've been playing it all week.
Dude, so
We're gonna stage a game in the next 20 minutes.
have you ever had anyone force you to play a video game?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. And you should. We run a video game podcast that comes out weekly.
Yeah.
So for the past 3 or 4, you're like, yeah, no, maybe Breath of the Wild, which I don't even believe that you played those.
Why not?
Yeah, no. All right. So you were playing Pokey and Rocky for the Super Nintendo, emulated through the 3DS.
I got through the first level of it.
What do you think about it?
It's better than I thought it would be. At first, I was skeptical because you forced me to play it.
Wow. I know good games.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So tell us about it.
What
kind of game is it?
It's a shooter.
Yeah.
Run and gun, I guess, would you call it that?
I mean, it's essentially a shmup, like a shoot 'em up game, but instead of you being like a starship, shooting aliens, you're like
either that girl or a raccoon.
Yeah.
You're either Pokey or Rocky.
Yeah. And you're shooting like samurai ninjas and lanterns and ghosts and all that. It's a really fun game. So I'm going to let you borrow my 3DS that's modded because I have another one, and we're going to bring back the retro recaps and start playing other games. We would love to hear from our listeners what games you recommend that aren't too long of games, just not like a Legend of Zelda that lasted like 5 weeks long of playing. Something that's a little shorter, like shmups, beat 'em ups.
And not to mention that game was very difficult.
Very difficult. He played on the original hardware where I had a modded 3DS, so I had save states.
That makes that game a lot easier.
A lot easier.
That's why I like my classic edition mini consoles too.
So
they have the save states.
I beat it. He did not, unfortunately. But he got pretty far into it.
I did good.
You did good, man. Don't worry about it. I'm proud of you. So you like Pokey and Rocky? Would you play it again?
I probably would.
It's a great game to play multiplayer. Have you ever played it, Sam?
I haven't, no. I'm familiar with the game.
It's a very expensive cartridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot easier to pick it up on the 3DS than frickin', put your cartridge in a Nintendo.
Oh, absolutely.
And then restart the level when you die.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you got save states, so right before a boss, you could save it and just keep going back and forth until you beat that boss. Learn the pattern of the boss, essentially.
Has changed my appreciation for certain retro games that I could just do that.
Yeah. So, Sam, what have you been playing?
Well, so last Friday night, I sat down and looked at my Steam library and said, Sam, you have entirely too many Steam games that you've never played, so it's time to stop buying Humble Bundles, which I don't know if you're familiar.
I am.
So, yeah, I always buy Humble Bundles.
Is that just like PC?
Yes.
Okay. You can't
buy
like physical games?
They have a game store that I've never really ventured onto, but my whole thing with Humble Bundle is like I can spend $13, and even if I only even know what one of the games is, I get like 8.
Nice.
So I'd always just like buy these Humble Bundles and have all these new games, and a lot of times I wouldn't explore them. So point being, I sat down and said, I have been looking at this game Firewatch for 2 years now, and I'm going to finally play it. First of all, I'm a big PC gamer, so I played it on the PC. I'm a big fan of sort of that very casual, click around and explore and sort of get a story while you walk around kind of game.
It's an amazing story.
That's a very cool story. And so I started playing it Friday, and I think by Sunday night, my wife was about ready to kick me out the house because I pretty much sat there and played through the entire thing until the story was over, and I then also played through some of the free play mode. I texted my brother about it down in South Carolina that he needed to download this game and play it.
How long did it take you to beat it?
It was only like a 5-hour game,
okay.
But the free
like
play...
Friday to Sunday, it sounds like a really long
Well, I
time
didn't sit there the whole time.
Okay.
Anytime I had free time throughout the weekend, I sat there and played
What was the free play in it? Did we have that for the PlayStation?
Yeah, there's that option, I think, just to walk around, right?
Yeah, then there's like... It's not really like side quests, but it's like... So one of the things you can do is if you go around and open all of the like storage containers, you can, depending on how much time you took during the actual like gameplay.
Yeah.
If you go back there during the free play, there's a slightly different tweak to if you open the storage containers and find the letters. I think it's from Ron to Dave.
Yeah. I opened a bunch of them.
I admittedly I didn't get into that part of it during the game. I was more interested in the actual story.
Right.
And in the free play mode, they hide the soundtrack on cassette tapes all throughout the map, and using the like whatever the radio
Walkman
wave
or whatever.
indicator. Well, yeah, and they have a Walkman,
Yeah.
but there's that like thing that replaces the compass after a certain point.
Yeah.
That thing guides you around to different soundtrack pieces. So I was mostly just fascinated by the idea of the map more so than the map itself.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, like it's not like this. It's not like the biggest map ever, but the fact that it's just this like big open world trail, like
Cell shading, beautifulness.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I loved that like it didn't necessarily take an over the top like AAA team to make
It's a very small
that
team.
kind of game. So I'm big into that kind of story. I don't know if there's another game that's very similar. It's a slightly shorter story than that one, called Gone Home. That is another one that I've played on the PC.
I think I've heard of it.
I think that one's PC exclusive. So
Okay. That's why
I don't
only heard of
remember if it is or not. I'm pretty sure it is. It's very similar.
Yeah.
But Firewatch, I think there's only thing that like it doesn't bug me, but the thing that's like sticking out of my brain is there's a lot of unanswered questions from the story.
Oh yeah.
Oh, please ask them. I'll give you answers.
So one part that has always stuck out to me that I'll never quite get is so the part way through when he wakes up in the middle of the night and he thinks he's talking to his wife. That never really fleshed out, at least in the way that I played it.
I think essentially he just missed her, like he hasn't
Right,
talked
but
to her
so
for a
everyone
really long
explains
time.
it as like, oh yeah, you were like talking on the radio about something in the middle of the night, but they never really like bring it to any kind of resolution.
I think it's essentially like you're out in the wilderness. Like I lived out in Oregon for 6 months, essentially by myself. I had a girlfriend at the time, but she didn't talk much. And like I was out in the boonies where we had no cell phone reception, no internet. We had a landline that my family would call from, and or I'd call them. But like you're just out there, you know. So all you can really do out there is explore or work, and your mind wanders a lot, and I think his mind was just wandering.
Okay.
And he obviously loved his wife and missed her, and was
But
also
how did it get on the radio?
That's the part that I wonder
Yeah.
is it's like that gives you the first person perspective of like his quote hallucination or whatever.
But is that also the first part? Like that's kind of the beginning part where everything starts to get really weird, right?
Yeah,
because
that's-
he's like he doesn't even know how it happened.
Right. That's where it starts to turn towards the more interesting
Like
elements
there's
of
a
the story.
sinister, maybe I don't know.
Oh, I thought-
background plot to the.
I thought shit was gonna go down like way harder than it did the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I played it in one sitting, and I started it I think at like
Yeah, I think I did
7
too.
p.m. I told you to play it in one sitting.
I
It was
essentially
like-
played it in 3 sittings myself.
Yeah, I couldn't. Like, I played it at 7 p.m. I started up. I bought the limited run disc through eBay, and because I just heard like great reviews about it, I was like, this is a short game, but it's one of the most amazing games ever made. The story's amazing, so I'm like, okay, cool. And I played it like an RPG open world game. Like in the beginning, I was just like, oh, like this is a huge area. This reminds me of being out in Oregon. Like I'm going exploring. Like I got the time to explore. Let me
Yep.
explore. And then I finally realized there's nothing to explore. Like you can see the scenery, but you're not getting any collectibles. You're not.
Unless you want to get bit by a raccoon.
You
I
can
don't
do
know
that.
if that happened or not to
That
me.
happened to me.
Okay. Yeah.
Towards the end, I got bit by a raccoon at one point when
I
I was
don't think I
exploring
did.
things.
I think once
Random side quest thing.
Once I got to the tent that was all mauled up, I was just on the edge of my couch. And
Yeah.
then, like,
Is that the girls?
yeah.
That think you're watching them or something?
You know, I was going to ask you guys about that.
And this is all spoilers, just so
yes,
you listeners know,
spoiler,
like,
spoiler.
Like, don't listen to this part. We'll let you know when we're done talking about Firewatch, but we probably
It'll be
would
too
able-
late.
Unless you've played Firewatch.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing game. We've talked about it before on this podcast because I had Tony borrow my copy of it, and he played through it.
That was early on, but yeah.
Yeah, very early
Well,
on.
so the thing I'm curious about with the girls, I did this because I thought they were annoying, and it was I was very immersed in the game at this point, and it was pissing me off. I threw their stereo in the lake,
Okay.
and it shorted out, and like there was
It
actually
gives you different options of how you want to deal with each scenario.
Yeah, I forget
right.
what I did.
So like their music was still like they basically were like, "Oh, you're a perv," and I was like, "Okay." So just like because at that point I was still kind of doing the same thing as Bo. I was like, I'm just like walking around checking out everything. It's like I'm gonna see if I can pick up their stereo and throw it in the lake and see if that turns it off, and it did. And then
yeah, I didn't
that was
do
like.
that.
That added more dialogue to the game.
Really?
Okay.
I told the ranger over the radio at one point. I was like, "Yeah, I threw their radio in the lake," and she's like,
Interesting.
"Yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. We're not really in the business of destruction of property."
Yeah.
And like, I got all this crap for it. So I was wondering if the girl's side story had anything to do with that. But clearly, you saw
No.
the same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. But yeah, I was like, I thought like maybe they got attacked by a bear or something.
That's exactly what I thought.
But then you right after seeing that, I'm pretty sure you get knocked out, right?
Soon after that, like
Yeah.
the next
Like,
day
you find
in
a
the story.
walkie-talkie.
Yeah, you walk down to the same. That's what it is.
Yep.
You go back, and the next day, the girl on the phone, whatever her name is, I can't remember.
Delilah.
Yeah, Delilah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, why don't you go back and check out that spot or whatever?"
Which,
Yeah,
as a
that-
radio person, I have to think it's funny that there's a girl on the radio named Delilah that you talk to all the time. Delilah is a long-time radio host.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Such a good game, man.
Really?
Even like I think even before that, someone like Delilah like messages you. She phones in. She's like, "Are you back at your watch?" And you're like, "No, I'm somewhere else." And it's like nighttime. She's like, "Well, there's a flashlight."
Yeah,
Around
that's
your
after.
watch.
That's after that.
Yeah.
That's after. So that like I remember looking up at my watch and seeing like a flashlight, and I was like, to me it was just this like glowing light, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's aliens, like there's so much like
What could it
unforeseen
be?
things. Yeah,
It
I'm
really
just like,
gives you like that anxiousness. I
Yep.
think.
so anxious the whole time, and I think that the music and the sounds like really played a part. In
Even
the
all
game,
the
too.
lighting, man. Even all the color, like
Yeah.
the color palette
Yeah.
they use.
Yep.
It all plays in together, and they really did a
That
good job.
Twilight color palette.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. But I also, the soundtrack was one that always kind of gripped me because it's like as soon as you heard the music,
You knew
it was
something was up.
well, but it was like it was started early enough that it's like something's gonna happen, and they
Yeah.
let you sort of get strung along for a while till it actually happened. But really, really fun game to play for a little bit last weekend.
Yeah.
The other game I've been playing all week, I've been hearkening back to my Xbox 360 a little bit.
Okay.
EA Skate 2 specifically
Yes.
is the game that I played the rest of this week. I have
Wait, Tony, you like Skate?
Yeah.
It's not Tony Hawk.
Skate is a much more interesting game as if you're into like a little bit more of the progression that comes from skateboarding versus
And Skate 2 is
Skate 2
1,000 times better than Skate 1.
I love all of the Skate games for different reasons, but Skate 2 is my favorite of the three.
Yeah.
And I've been playing through that one again this week because it's the kind of game that you can kind of just like, if you've played them before, you can just pick it back up and not be too
absolutely.
far behind. But I don't know. There's something about the like, especially basically throughout the map, you have to hit different challenge points throughout, and all the pro challenges, the different pro skaters in the game, are some of the more like repetitious, not in a sense that they're all gonna give you the same challenge, but you really have to work to sort of relearn the mechanics of the controls. And it's fun I find it fun at least to just like I was never like a big skateboarder in real life, but the mechanics of like getting it finally is very similar. I wasn't a big skateboarder. I was a big filmer of skateboarders and skiers and snowboarders
With the
and all
fisheye
that.
lens.
But oh yeah.
Yeah, fisheye lens back in the 90s.
Well, that's the cool thing about Skate too, is that this guy follows you around for most of the game with a camera, and a lot of the cutscenes are like from a fisheye.
That's so cool.
Like,
Yeah.
well, and it's for me, it's like that. I hate to say it, but Skate 2 is 10 years old this year. That blows my mind. But like the skaters that were around when those games were coming out, I was very familiar with. So it was like it was really fun to play those games and have like all these guys that were like, some of them are like completely legendary, like Eric Costin.
Was Bam
Yeah,
in it?
Bam was in the Tony Hawk game, so he wasn't in that. But no,
Was
it's
Tony
like
Hawkins skate?
no. Tony Hawk had his own games,
Yeah,
obviously.
Terry
so
Kennedy, I think, was in
Terry
Skate.
Kennedy, Rob Dyrdek, Ray Barbie,
Yeah,
Chris
I
Haslam, Eric Costin.
Oh, and
Eric
Chris
Costin was
Haslam
huge.
got in a big accident after that, didn't he?
Yeah,
After the
he
Skate
did.
games came out.
He did, but
And he was like, wasn't skating for a long time. I don't know if he is now.
I don't know.
Anyway.
But Lizard King was one of the other ones
Yeah.
that was randomly in those
What a
games.
badass name. Dude. That's what I'm doing.
That's
My
his
kid,
real name.
Lizard King.
That's the name
I
he
don't
always
know.
went by as a
Yeah.
skater. I don't know him
That's
as
cool.
anything else.
I mean,
But
that just sounds like an end boss, you know?
Yeah.
Lizard King.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, who was Jim Morrison? Wasn't he the Lizard King?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
also
yeah.
the Lizard King,
Yeah, you're
the
right about
original.
that.
So technically, Lizard King wouldn't have got that name on Stadia.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. There was other games I played this week, but Skate 2 really took up my attention. I've been playing Smash Ultimate again.
Yeah, we definitely need to get
I-
our friend codes together.
Anytime that I was sitting on my couch and we were like watching some TV show that we always watch, I always have the Switch sort of close by, and I have been trying. I played Smash Ultimate for a while and sort of fell off of it a little bit quickly. But now I've been I played the Spirits mode for a while, and
I'm
now
so
I've just
close
been
to being done with it.
I'm
almost
on
beat
and
it.
off on that mode, but I have just been at least trying to go through classic mode and unlock or like beat the classic mode with each character.
Okay.
Because it's not like it's in that game. It's not like it's hard. It's like
No.
you just kind of you basically have unlimited continues if you have the amount of credit at least to continue doing it. But I don't actually know. I think I'm about halfway through unlock. I just want to unlock every character.
Yeah, me
Just
too.
because I'm curious to try them all out and mess around with it, because that's one game that I love Smash, but I admittedly was never a big appreciator of GameCube, and we always just not for the reason, not to hate on the GameCube.
So many good GameCube
Yeah,
games.
I'm aware of that now. That's what I'm
Probably
finding.
One of Nintendo's best controllers ever made,
And
too.
that's what I'm finding. And
Do you have an adapter, by the way?
No, I need to look into that.
Get a Wii U adapter.
I have the Pro controller, but not a.
The original Wii U adapters work on the Switch, but
Okay.
you can also get off-brand ones because the Wii U adapters, because the Wii U didn't
Right.
sell that well, there's not that many adapters.
Right.
It came with the Smash Brothers for the Wii U,
Mm-hmm.
but they go for like $90 now.
Woof.
And
Okay.
I bought mine with my Wii U, which I bought the Wii U like in January before the Switch came out.
Okay.
Because I was just like, it's when I sort of started getting into collecting again. Because I had the space to collect, I had the shelving, and I was like, I want to get the system that I never played before. And I replayed Wind Waker on that, and I was just like so amazed by it. I was like, oh, this is so good. Like I beat it on GameCube, then I beat it on the Wii U.
The Wii U is a cool system. I only know.
It's amazing. Like you can see the evolution through every Nintendo system and how the one before it helped the other one after it.
Right.
You know, like it just shows that whole movement through Nintendo. Like,
Yeah.
Like the N64 controller is the nunchucks, of
Right.
the Wii, and then the Wii is essentially two Wii remotes that has a screen in the middle, and then the Switch is that, but more portable and thinner.
What the Wii U should have probably been ultimately.
Yeah.
Well, so what I was going to say is that the Smash games completely passed me by on GameCube and Wii.
And the GameCube one is where it's at.
And I experienced it a little bit in college, but like me and my friends always had N64 Smash. I played N64 Smash like last year. And then like I started seeing all this stuff. They're like, oh, Melee is like the greatest Smash game ever made. And it's like, I just didn't know anybody that had it. None of us had. We all went from N64 to PS2. Nobody bought a GameCube.
Yeah.
And like I knew a couple guys in college that had them, and like
That's where it's at.
Yeah,
And honestly, you can use the GameCube controller on the Switch for like almost every game, not just Smash Brothers.
I didn't realize that. I
You
just
can play
knew
Mario
they were.
Kart on it. You know, you can do so many different things. Like the mapping is like almost
Makes
perfect
sense.
for it.
Yeah.
So highly recommend.
Yeah, so
that.
now I'm just trying to see how far I can get through all the different characters of Ultimate because it sparks my curiosity. I was excited last night when I unlocked Little Mac from Punch Out because Punch Out is one of my favorite.
He's a great fighter.
Nintendo games.
I feel like his up B attack really sucks. So like it's like either you hit very well or you're about to die.
Okay, let's say Kirby's sort of still my go-to.
DK
even
is
in
my go-to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was always into Kirby on N64, and I was like, I wonder if this all translates to the Switch, and it was kind of wild. It was like
It really
I'm
does.
right at home. I know exactly what I'm doing already.
Yeah.
So I was sort of stuck with him on my Switch version. But yeah, I've been playing through that pretty extensively this week.
Yeah. So, games that I've been playing. Where are we at? Okay. Could you grab me a beer, Sam?
Oh yeah,
Do you have another one?
I do. Tony, you good over there?
I'll take one if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Do you have that many beers?
I have one for you and for Tony.
Oh my goodness. So Sam is this amazing man that opens beers with his fingers. Like, actually opens a cap with his wedding ring.
Gotta love that tungsten ring for that purpose.
Yeah.
Shout out to my friend Mark for teaching me this skill.
It's pretty badass.
It's one of the landmark reasons to have a wedding band. You know, other than like loving your wife and stuff too.
Well, yeah.
Of course, that's the obvious one.
I might try it. We'll see. I have a tungsten ring as well with meteorite.
You just have to be
laid into
brave, and you have to trust that you're not gonna break your fingers.
And this beer is really good that you brought. It's called Official from
Yes.
Bell's. It's a hazy India Pale Ale. What's it weigh in at? Like
it's a
6?
6-ish, 6.4 if I'm not
6.4,
mistaken.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Pungent American hops combined with wheat and Pilsen malt result in a smooth, aromatic, juicy IPA. Obviously, that 9% got to me. So, the game that I've been playing has been Red Dead for a while. After Yakuza 6, like I talked about it on the last podcast, I couldn't find anything else that I wanted to play, and I'm trying to get the backlog off my small 500 gigabyte PS4. And Red Dead, I've been playing and loving it. And then, sure enough, I bought Yakuza 0 on eBay for really cheap. Like, talked this guy down on the price and like got it for like $14, I think. And got that in the mail. And I've been playing that, and it's amazing. It's like, I probably won't go back to Red Dead until I beat this game. And it surprises me how similar it is, yet so different. Like, I didn't look up when it was developed compared to Yakuza 6. Like, obviously, Yakuza 6 is the newest one. Yakuza 0, I believe, is fairly new. I believe it's the same engine that Yakuza 6 is built off of, but graphically, it's not as clean. It's a it's a precursor of like where the main character came from, like before, like he just got into the Yakuza gang, and it shows him developing who he is as a person. So from playing the last version that's been out to the new one is very cool and also weird and strange, because he was such a modest, strong individual in the last rendition, and this one he's so young looking. He's very timid still, like very like set in his ways, but people are trying to influence him in this one, where the first character that you meet, who's your really good friend that you grew up with as an orphan and stuff, now you guys are older, like in your early 20s, he's like, you need to be flashy, like Yakuza's flashy, you need to wear a suit that's worth 500,000 yen, you need to buy an expensive car, this and that, and the main character is just like, no, like if that's what you say, sure, but like that's just not me, like I'm gonna hold my own. So like you see how he has developed, but also stayed his set ways that he's been. But like one of the first like side quests was getting drunk with him and with your friend, and you do karaoke, and you had 2 songs to choose from, and I choose like the slower one. Sure enough, it's this button smashing mini game where like I was messing up so much. I was just like, I'm really good at like QTE games where like it's like X, circle, circle, square, square, square. But like I was messing up. I'm like, why? Like you have to be so precise on it. But I was absolutely having so much fun with it. Like all the mini games in this are amazing. The fighting seems a lot stiffer at first, but then I met this old white guy that's this drunk that smells like alcohol at 7 a.m. And he's like, you're this warrior, I want you to fight for me. And you're like, shut up, old drunk man. He's like, watch my friend fight. And I watch him, and then I learned the special move because of how he fought this dude. And you're like, all right, I believe you, but I still don't want to fight for you because I'm Yakuza. But then he's like, just so you know, invest your money into yourself. And he gives you this screen, like through the pause menu, where you pay $400,000 to, I guess, yourself, and you can like raise your health bar, you can raise your heat bar. You have different stances where it gives you different moves and different fighting ways. Like, I'm so ecstatic to play this game. Like, it's very different from 6, but there's so many similarities that, like, it just brings me back to the good feeling that I got from 6 as well. So I can't wait to talk about it more. Like, I don't want to reveal anything because I really don't know. Like, I've only played probably 5 hours of it, but I'm ready to invest another 50. It's a great series. Have you ever played any of the Yakuza games, Sam?
Not in a very long time. I played some of a Yakuza game for the PS2.
Yeah.
With one of my buddies when I was younger.
I sold it because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of sad that I sold it. Like,
so that was in the days of we were big into like racing games at that time. So we didn't really stop and like play that kind of thing too much. But like I remember sitting with my buddy for like a few hours playing that. We were also like, it was around the same time we were playing things like San Andreas, GTA, and stuff like that. So
hell yeah.
Yeah,
that's all that mattered.
Right, and
you know,
Dude,
I
nothing
will-
could beat San Andreas.
I agree. Like at
all
that
the
time,
cheat codes,
Yeah.
and half-naked women
Yep.
walking around, even though it was pixelated.
Yo,
was
what's
great.
crazy about this game though? I mean, like it's a PS4 game, but it looks like it should be for PS3, and maybe it did come out for PS3. I don't know, but like right in the beginning credits and stuff. Like, this girl just has these big, old, bouncy boobs, and then, like, the next scene is this guy, like, literally has his whole hand, like, on her boob, like, just grabbing it, and I'm like, wow. Like Yakuza 6 had some weird, like, sexual things, but, like, this was, like, right in the beginning, here you are, like, Yakuza 6 was, like, if you find this little mini game, you can, like, live chat to these Asian women. This is like, boom, here it is.
Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
We've got the tits.
Ooh, you should just
I like that.
the whole time. Yeah,
I did that once.
Just
There was
do
a
that with everything.
There's
though.
a
We got
college
the
radio
tits.
show
Can
where
you just talk like that the whole time? Let's erase this podcast. We're doing it again in that voice. All right.
we had a college radio show once where my friends challenged me to talk like that, like the whole time.
Yes.
And everything I said had to be in this movie trailer. My throat
Yes.
got so sore
Oh,
by
I
the end of it. I was like, guys, I can't do it anymore.
I love it. That's great.
We should get a new like intro for the podcast. Precisely podcast. We got the tits.
I love it.
I got to say it now to see if the audio. Precisely podcast. We have the tits.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
We're keeping that forever.
Can you just copy and paste that?
Yeah, we'll save it.
Yeah.
That'll be very, very
We're
respectable.
gonna put it on everything.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Can you
My mom will be so proud.
Yeah, no, she won't.
Yeah.
Can you do that voice again and just be like, Precisely Podcast, we drink beer, we talk about video games.
That's a lot.
You better listen or you die.
Precisely Podcast. We drink beer. We talk about video games. You better listen or you'll die.
Yes! I love it.
It's what I do.
I love it.
That's amazing, man. That's really good. That's a talent for sure.
Not trying to like humble brag, but last summer I had the opportunity to narrate a show on the Discovery Channel.
No.
I did.
Wow.
On Shark Week. It was on Discovery Go. It was the top 30 sharks of Shark Week.
Yeah.
What?
And I found this. It was a friend of mine is like into like the local producer scene, and somebody was like, "I need a voiceover," so he tagged me in it on Facebook, and I just happened to get the job. It was just like a random one that I picked up,
I
and
need to watch this.
it was funny because like all the sharks had these like really like awesome names. It was like, and we started to make a drinking game out of it, where it was like every time I mentioned that a shark was angry because it was pregnant, you had to drink, and like every time I said one where it was like,
This shark is angry.
like there's no like good like
Yeah.
example, but it was like it was fun. It was a
So
fun.
did you do it in that voice the whole time?
Oh, the whole show it's not quite like over the top like throaty like
Yeah.
Movie trailer voice guy, but it was like Bonesaw the shark. He's been tracked across the South Pacific for over 30 years.
That's super believable.
So what
I feel like
episode
I'm
is
watching
this?
Discovery Channel right now.
Yeah. What episode is this?
So
our
if you go
listeners can listen?
on YouTube and search Discovery Channel top 30 sharks of Shark Week, you'll find a 3-part mini series of me talking about sharks.
Hell yeah.
I read a script. I don't know anything about sharks, but it was fun. It was
Yo,
just like,
that's amazing.
yeah, it was just like
I'm
all
gonna
these.
watch it tonight with Kayla. Kayla's huge into sharks.
It was cool. It was fun to get to do something like that because it's like, I don't know, I do voiceover stuff frequently, but most of the time it's like for like a random like I do these commercials sometimes for this company that sells like industrial lubricants and stuff
For cars?
for like
Not as cool as Shark.
no,
Week,
Yeah.
but it's like you say, oh yeah, I did a thing for Shark Week for Discovery Channel. Everyone's like, oh wow,
but yeah.
Well, I got lubricants for
Yeah,
sale.
same.
Why don't you give them a try?
Your locks are stuck at night or when it's cold out or something like that.
Don't get stuck in the cold.
yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you, Sam, for being on our
Oh,
podcast.
absolutely. This is a blast.
You've been an amazing guest. We would love to have you back.
I'd be more than happy to come back anytime.
Love to
Great, man.
play some games with you tonight.
Definitely.
If you're down to chill a little longer.
Definitely, man.
We got some shout outs to do for ourselves, right? We're going to be at Too Many Games June 23rd.
That's 2 weeks from
Oh,
now.
sick. I wish I
is
could go.
Philadelphia Expo Center in Oak, Pennsylvania.
We're
It's-
going on Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, so I believe that's the 23rd. We haven't really looked at our calendars
No,
yet,
I think that's right.
but I think that's right. We'll be there most of the day until Tony gets sick of looking at all these cosplay women and men.
Well, that's not the part I'm gonna get sick of.
You're just going to get sick of it.
Too many games. That's
There's too many. It's right in the
Sick of
name.
Too many games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, we'll be handing out stickers. So if you see us, we're going to be rocking the Precisely shirts. Just say Precisely out loud, and we'll come run into you. Also, follow us on Instagram at Precisely Podcast. Follow Tony at Precisely_Tony, and follow my game page at Bows_Game Room. We also just started a Patreon, which we have no one following yet because we just made it last night. But there's a bunch of different tiers, bunch of different things we're giving per tier. Check it out. It's patreon.com/precisely. just patreon.com/precisely. Sam, what's your Instagram if you want people to follow you?
So you can find me personally at Sam KREPPS. That's just my personal Instagram. But if you want to follow my podcast, it's at Foundation_radio. And we also have a Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/MBN Network. That's the Might Be News Network. You get exclusive episodes of the Might Be News Network on that. And look for Foundation Radio on Facebook as well as the Might Be News Network. Wherever podcasts are found, you can find us every other Thursday.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks again for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
This podcast amazing.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And, just check out the Patreon, support if you want. It's going to help us bring you guys more great content.
Yeah.
And we love doing what we do. Also, don't forget to check out the Gaming Podcast Alliance, another just group of great gamers that podcast. Check them out.
I love you, Tony. It's gamingpodcastalliance.com.
Yeah.
There's about 8 different gaming podcasts on their website.
Who do they got? They got Shart Select.
They got Rated G for Gamers.
They got Zap Night Gaming.
They got Pixie Podcasts.
They got a couple others that I can't remember right now.
Yep. Ghost of Gamer Pass, I think.
I'll go check them out tomorrow and give them a shout out on Foundation Radio.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We would all appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And it's just a great group of guys.
You're drunk.
No.
All right. We out, and we are Precisely. Thank you, guys.